Bit.
Headlines parish by parish. We start in St. Landry tonight, where the town of Washington finally has a budget. The town has been operating on half of last year's budget since September and faced a state takeover. Also tonight, the council called for an election to replace former Mayor James Olivier, who resigned earlier this month. The council has until January 8th to name an interim mayor.
When you can't have order, you can't accomplish anything. So we did accomplish passing the budget and adopting the budget tonight. That was the biggest goal that I had as far as the agenda tonight.
LCG is facing a lawsuit over the recently approved tax districts. The plaintiffs accuse the city and outgoing Mayor President Joel Robideau of violating charter regulations by not giving enough public notice and a public hearing.
The notice requirements were not complied with here, and as a result of that, many people, including our plaintiffs, did not know about the matter until the second meeting.
In Acadia Parish, one man is now under arrest in a hit and run that left a 10-year-old in critical condition. Officers say Justin Duyan hit the child on East Spruce Street in Crowley. He's facing a felony hit and run charge. Two 19-year-olds are dead after a crash in Acadia Parish. It happened last night near I-10 and Highway 91. According to state police, Kylan Mier was exiting off the interstate when he missed a curve. His passenger, Dante Lacombe, also died at the scene. Detectives say speed was a major factor in that crash. A kidnapping and assault suspect is under arrest after an hours-long manhunt. It started at around 9 o'clock last night at a truck stop casino off I-10 in Doosan. When officers arrested Cord Anderson, they say he kicked out the rear glass of the police car, crawled out, and then ran away. He was found 3 hours later when officers say he returned to the parking lot. An investigation is underway into what caused a fire at Republic Services in Scott. Firefighters say last night they found two garbage trucks on fire at the complex. They were able to stop the fire from spreading before it reached the other trucks parked in a row. No one was injured. A Kentucky woman is facing charges in Lafayette's largest meth bust. Vicki Watson is accused of carrying 23 pounds of meth and more than 200 vials of THC oil. The drugs were found during a traffic stop. Watson is being held tonight on a $3 million bond. In Jeff Davis Parish, the town of Elton's water system is apparently violating treatment requirements. The health department is ordering the company to disinfect the water. According to a representative with the water system, you do not need to boil your water, but if you have specific health concerns, you should call your doctor. The water system will be flushing its lines for 10 days. Alcohol delivery is coming to Acadiana in the new year. ShopRite and Tobacco Plus have partnered with alcohol e-commerce site Drizzly. Delivery service is expected to be available by mid-January in a number of cities here in Acadiana, including Lafayette, Abbeville, and New Iberia. Checking state news now. In Alexandria, no injuries after a driver drove off the road and crashed into the state police building. The car struck the wall and crashed through bricks, exposing office space inside. Troopers arrested the driver, who is accused of being impaired at the time of the crash. In Baton Rouge, work will soon get underway on the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The Advocate reports the Edwards administration will begin 6 weeks of meetings with department heads to determine their budgets. The governor is expected to present his proposal then to lawmakers in February. Coming up, wind causes a lot of destruction up in New York with a side of irony. We'll explain in news from around the world coming up at 10:20. But first, Eric's full forecast. You're watching Acadiana's News Channel at 10.
ATC Weather Lab. Here's Eric's forecast.
As I was out walking the dog on my dinner break this evening, I smelled someone having a little fire going, and it was a perfect night for that as temperatures are starting to cool off. And if you want to do that again tomorrow night, you should have no issues as temperatures will remain on the winter-like side in the 40s as you head out to ring in the new year. So definitely will need to have the jackets handy the next couple of days. Here's the big picture, what's going on, and we can kind of see where that next storm system is. But right now, dry air is in place, and that's what should keep us on the sunny side, at least for our New Year's Eve Eve before some clouds start to return for New Year's Day. But here's our next storm system, still just out in the eastern Pacific to the south of California. You can see there's that upper level low beginning to get itself kind of cut off from the main system, and it's going to then pull in the subtropical moisture over in the East Pacific, draw it across Mexico, and eventually send it towards our way. And that's why we could be looking at some heavy rains as we head into our Thursday. But in the meantime, it's just all about the cool temperatures tonight, as we'll be dropping down into the mid to upper 30s. Maybe some light frost possible from Ville Platte to Alexandria, but I think we don't get down into the 30s very long, so I don't expect a whole lot of frost for our morning. Just a cool start out the door, heavy jackets and coats likely, and then tomorrow afternoon just some light coats, very similar to today. Comfortable winter-like temperatures for the end of the year in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. But with that sunshine, it should feel quite comfortable to be outside. Clouds start to move in, but still going to be on the cool side as we ring in the new year. Here's midnight temperatures, 45 in Lafayette, but you can see to the north they're in the upper 30s. And thanks to that cloud cover, temperatures remain pretty steady through the overnight, maybe dropping a couple degrees down to 42 here in Lafayette. Still hanging on to those mid to upper 30s for Ville Platte to Alexandria, while we got the low 40s south of the interstate. And then with those clouds, we stay on the cooler side again, upper 50s to possibly 60 degrees come Wednesday afternoon. So temperatures don't really move a whole lot over the coming days, very similar to what we saw today. So high pressure and control, that creates at least one more sunny day for our Tuesday. But you can see as that high slides off to the east and we start to get that southerly flow returning, clouds are a good bet for our Wednesday, but you can see it does look like most of the rain stays to the south and west of us, so I think we get 2 more dry days, and then that rain begins to move in as we head into first thing Thursday morning. You can see already by midnight Thursday, that front getting closer, some scattered showers starting to push in, so I do expect showers to begin during the overnight hours Wednesday into Thursday morning. Thursday morning is when we expect the heavy rains to develop as the low officially moves onshore. As you see the yellows and orange, that's where we could be seeing those decent showers. So that could cause a very wet morning commute. Give yourself some extra time come Thursday morning as the ground will be wet. And then as that system rides up to the north and northeast, it's going to drag that cold front over the top of us. So we're going to see steady rains pretty much last all throughout our Thursday, and won't be until late Thursday night into Friday morning that we finally begin to see the rains end and push off to the east. Friday doesn't look to be too bad. We'll call it partly sunny. Temperatures in the mid 60s. Should be relatively dry, although a stray shower can't be ruled out. And then a secondary dry cold front brings in cooler temperatures and sunny skies as we push into the weekend. Here's some new model data looking at the rainfall totals that we could see possible for Thursday. This is the latest GFS model. It's going with that 2 to 3 inch range for a good portion of Acadiana, with that strip right through the center of us, with Lafayette possibly getting the highest amounts possible. But now we're starting to see some of those mid-range models start to come in. This is the NAM latest model as of just an hour or so ago, and you can see not nearly as bullish, much more smaller on the totals, and kind of pushes it more to the north and northwest. So we're going to have to continue to watch the trends. These are still not exact forecasts, so we'll have to see how things play out. But in the meantime, it does look like soaking rains for Acadiana on Thursday. I'm going to still stay in that 1 to 3 inch range, but those numbers could change in the coming days with isolated higher amounts. But I do think minor street flooding and flooding in some low-lying areas will be possible. But for tonight, we'll go 37 with cool, clear skies, and then tomorrow we'll be making our way into the upper 50s with lots of sunshine. Clouds move in on Wednesday with that heavy rain possible as we go into Thursday, 1 to 3 inches, and then temperatures stay in the 60s and we start to dry out into the weekend.
Okay, thanks, Eric. And still ahead tonight right here on KATC, how volunteers in seconds stopped a shooting at a church service in Texas. News from around the world is up next. Back, everyone. Here's more news tonight from around the world in 80 seconds. New video from the Department of Defense shows this weekend's airstrike in western Iraq on an Iranian-backed militia. It was one of 5 strikes carried out in retaliation for a rocket attack that killed an American contractor last week. In Germany, a heavy police presence near Berlin's old border crossing Checkpoint Charlie, where police responded to a report of shots fired. It turned out to be part of an armed robbery in a nearby shop, and police say the suspect fired blanks. In Texas, 2 people are dead, 3 others injured after a gunman opened fire inside a crowded church. The panic lasted 6 seconds when the suspect was shot and killed by 2 volunteers on the parish security force. Church officials and Texas Republicans hailing a new law in Texas that took effect in September that allows licensed gun owners to carry handguns in places of worship. In New York, the man accused of stabbing 5 Jewish people during a Hanukkah celebration is now facing federal hate crime charges. The suspect family says he has a long history of mental illness, but investigators say they found handwritten journals expressing anti-Semitic views. And in the Bronx, look at this, a wind turbine collapsed, its blades took down a billboard and crashed onto a car below. No one was injured. Ironically, high wind is being blamed. That's news from around the world in 80 seconds. It's Monday, December 30th, 2019. And still ahead tonight on KATC, we've been talking about this for years. With the new year comes new identification rules when flying domestically when it takes effect. After the break. Going into the new year, you have about 10 months to become Real ID compliant. Starting October 1st, 2020, you'll need to carry more identification like a passport if you want to travel domestically without a Real ID. This law will include adults and children. Children will be able to get a Real ID compliant state ID. A Lafayette woman is trying to sell an old wedding ring for tickets to the national championship